We've got big questions entering this weekend's college football games, and we're going to stick them to David Pollack, College Game Day. Let's start with this. You're in Fort Worth for tomorrow's game between number 4 Ohio State and number 15 TCU. How seriously should we be taking TCU in this game?
Well, I think we'll see after this week, but I think TCU's a good team. I think Ohio State, obviously, if you want to go position by position, is a lot more talented. And I tell you what, Tony, Dwayne Haskins, if you don't know the name and you're a betting man and you like the Heisman Trophy underdogs who aren't getting as much love as you think they should, this kid's for real. I studied his tape this week. Every throw he made, I haven't seen him make a bad throw yet. He's huge. He's strong. I think he's honestly the most talented quarterback that I've seen Urban Meyer have. And that's saying a lot. He can do it all. He's going to be fun to watch. He's been a machine so far, hasn't been pressed. But the Ohio State offense versus Gary Patterson, that TCU defense, very curious to see. Listen, Ohio State's defense, I think, is one of the best in the country. Clemson, everybody says, is the best D-line. I think Ohio State is 1 and 1A with them. So, it's going to be a tremendous challenge for TCU from a personnel standpoint. They're going to be out personneled. Can Gary Patterson draw up enough to confuse and find ways to use their speed to their advantage?
David, number 1 Alabama, 3-touchdown favorite at Ole Miss. They seem to have the quarterback situation figured out pretty well. What is their weakness, if they have any?
Defensively, and a team like Ole Miss, you want to see if they can take advantage of it. Ole Miss obviously can score points in bunches, one of the best wide receiving cores in the country. Alabama in the secondary is a little bit vulnerable. Still guys that are growing up. They're still making mistakes. We haven't seen anybody take advantage of them yet, but Ole Miss is going to be the test for them. I think they can score some points. Listen, the problem is when you play Alabama now is Alabama with Tua now at quarterback, they're going to score points on every possession. I mean, he's thrown a touchdown pass, I think, one every 3 completions. He's got magic, man. And so they've always had the O-line and the wide receivers and the big boys up front and the running backs. And now you throw in a guy like Tua at a quarterback spot that can do it with his feet, can do it with his arm and improv. Good luck. You're not going to stop them. They're getting 40. I don't think Ole Miss can do the same thing. So I think Alabama's going to score their points. Ole Miss will have more success than anybody has this season, but it's not going to be enough.
Number 2, Clemson hosts Georgia Southern. We won't even ask you about that game. Don't worry about it. But Clemson has no ranked teams left on their schedule. None at the moment. Yeah. Will that hurt them down the road?
No, not. I mean, if you win all the games, it really doesn't matter. And think about Clemson, Tony, the last couple years. Last year they lost to Syracuse. They still got in the playoff. The year before that, they lost to an unranked Pittsburgh team and still got in the playoffs. So I think Clemson, you realize the talent. Why it was fun to watch them against A&M. I mean, Jimbo Fisher, you can tell he's got that program going in the right direction, and they gave them all they could handle in a tough atmosphere. I bet you there'll be a team on their schedule down the road that will be ranked, and they'll have a challenge or a scare, but they're obviously head and shoulders more talented than everybody, down the road. To me, the only thing with Clemson is I think their defense will continue to grow and get better, especially at linebackers and secondary level. To me, is the quarterback position. Kelly Bryant looked like the guy, and Trevor Lawrence looked like the guy. And how do you handle this and manage it? Kelly Bryant's legs are needed in this offense. This isn't a dominant physical offensive line that's going to pound you. You have to have that quarterback run game. So them handling that spot, to me, is the only question mark I have about the Clemson Tigers.
Not too far from where you are, Texas is going to host number 22 USC. Do you have any theories on why this hasn't worked out yet for Tom Herman?
No theories. He was a home run, can't miss guy coming out, but he doesn't have a quarterback. There's a theory for you. I mean, you need to find that guy. Here's the thing. JT Daniels is a true freshman quarterback for USC. I can look at him and go, he's a star. I know Ellender. He's not. I think he's a good kid. He's a hard worker. I just don't think he has the ability to be a star. And, Tom Herman, that's the thing. We always seen him, whether it was with J.T. Barrett or Cardell Jones, whoever it was, when he was coaching offense and then obviously goes to Houston and same deal. It's just you had a guy that you trusted at quarterback, and all of a sudden he turned that quarterback into magic. And that to me is the interesting part. I think Texas, you make that hire and you go, okay, we have had putrid quarterback play. Same thing with Dan Mullen in Florida. Putrid quarterback play. This guy knows how to coach quarterbacks and get the most out of them. And he hasn't been able to do that. That's probably the most surprising thing. And defensively, they're so much worse than they were last year when they were a team that you pointed to in the Big 12 that played a little bit of defense. They haven't stopped the run. They're 91st in the country, I think, at stopping the run. So, this is going to be a game that it's always been close when we've seen the matchups, and everybody remembers Vince Young versus Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush and all them. But, this isn't going to be as much star power, but I think it will be a pretty competitive ball game.
Thank you very much, David. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Always great to see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, David.